today we are talking about the overload of everything. This is the second recording for this because the first one turned out to be like 30 minutes. And while I think I'll still share that, I want to try to keep it shorter. Okay, here goes. Have you ever felt like there's just so much to do? And this is in addition to your set tasks, your job, your routines. You now see things like Duolingo popping up to tell you if you lose your 700-day streak or something telling you, oh, as you logged in now, it's just your day one. Oh, set a reminder to log in again tomorrow. Even LinkedIn used to send notifications. I don't receive them anymore for the games. Those games they introduced is the concept of gamification to drive retention. You can imagine with all the happenings on LinkedIn, they are still looking for ways to keep you entertained and engaged and to keep you coming back to the app, to keep users coming back to the app. Imagine that. This adds to the list of things to do. Many opportunities, distractions. The noise is just a lot. Do you ever feel like it's a lot? Like every single thing is competing for your attention. And at some point, you just want to disappear. I wonder if there are persons who don't want to disappear. And if that's you, I'm really curious about you. Why is that? What are you doing so that you don't feel overstimulated? Or is the overstimulation something you thrive on? Disappear, not in a... I talk about hibernating a lot. Not in a dramatic, weird way, like the world's going to wonder what happened to Nikki Oscar. No, it's more like just unplug. Do you ever want to unplug? And then if you don't ever want to unplug, what's the deal? I'd like to know. But this is what has been on my mind lately, especially yesterday, going through my in-app notifications and seeing about, this is an exaggeration, 100 notifications I had not, some of which I had seen, but I didn't respond to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the weekly schedule because I scheduled them to appear weekly. So they do come in daily, but they don't really bug my phone until the end of the week when I can go through them and then go through the ones I want to go through. But in thinking around why I'm exposed to this in the first place, I started to wonder if I have to be online because of the things I'm doing with my job and all of that, then how do I live a minimalist life without minimizing myself? How do I stay present and engaged in this world without getting lost in all the noise? So let's talk about that. That's what I want to talk about. The reality is we are overloaded. Every day there's a new app, a new trend, a new show, a new opportunity, and don't even get me started on the new shows. With access to AI right now, you can even create your own show on Facebook, on Instagram. Series upon series upon series. A new way to grow your finances, to maximize your potential, to grow your network, grow your influence, attend events. Oh my God, it is exhausting. And the truth is, if you're not careful, your life starts to feel like just a bunch of puzzle pieces just forced together and not really fitting in. Some just don't belong there. But somehow they just make up your existence, cluttering your existence is more like it. So how do you streamline? How do you exist in a world like this as it is right now, in this crazy, mad world, without letting it consume you? Some people say, okay, just choose what you focus on. But how do you even make those choices? Right? How do you do that without feeling like, if you decide I'm going to follow one mental health expert online, how do you convince yourself that that's all you need? That, okay, the other person that you would have followed may have tips that directly apply to your life. What's the practical way forward? And so one thing I've been thinking about is setting clear limits, not just on my time, but on my attention. If attention is currency, then I should determine what I spend it on. I should be intentional about what I spend it on. If my attention is the price here, then I should carefully decide who gets it, right? prioritizing just a handful of things each month or each quarter instead of being scattered everywhere. Maybe it's about just unsubscribing. I have so many emails I need to unsubscribe from. I need to set digital boundaries, create space for deep, meaningful engagement instead of just reacting to everything. I feel like I've been doing this occasionally. I just unfollow a lot of pages, and I'm currently at 1,000. I'm following 1,000 persons, and I keep wondering, what the hell? What is this? So my plan is to just unfollow every single person, every single thing, and then carefully curate again my connections, my friends in real life, right? And then specific pages or specific persons who provide content that I find valuable and useful. Another idea is living by this rule of 3s or 5s. I like that. Like, it just helps to reduce all these multiple options. And one key framework that highlights this rule of 5 is the habit. Is it the hobby selection framework? I don't think that's the right term, but the one that talks about having one hobby to keep you physically active, one hobby to keep you mentally sharp, one that brings you joy, one that connects you to people, one that, moves your career forward. That framework. I think this is another way to streamline, That way you're not just passively consuming everything thrown at you, but you're curating the life you want, the content you want, the inputs you want, the news you want. You're choosing. You're starting to choose, at least, because I'm not going to say that it's easy to do, but you have to start from somewhere and then optimize as you go. And then another thing to consider is regular detox. Whether that's a social media fast, you go off the grid for like a week or a month. I had a friend who would normally choose 1 month and she would just go offline. At least I know, because maybe she gives me like a heads up. Or she gave me a heads up then. But I thought it was really cool. And I learned it from her, because at the time, I don't think I thought it possible to just be offline for that long. But it's something I've done a number of times now. And I do weekly, mostly now, or weekends, just because my work as someone who works remotely requires that I'm reachable at least. So I can't just turn off as I used to. But yeah, regular detoxing, fasting. At this point, we know that fasting is not just from food, but from the things that overly occupy your mind or your time. Yeah. Just limiting how often you let the world into your space, even though that's the exact opposite of what the online media space is encouraging, or what we see. Not that these are just tools, they're instruments. They don't necessarily dictate. We're the ones to choose, and sometimes we do the things we do. For instance, sharing our lives with the world the way we do because we've seen others do it, and we want the response that they get. For those of us who have, those desires, or because it's necessary for the brand that we're building, for us to get to a certain level. For those of us who are actively participating in the content creation space. At the end of the day, it's your choice. You get to decide how often you let the world into your space, or what aspects of your life you let them into. Because, yeah. You get to decide is the bottom line here. And then for consumers, those of us who actively consume content, we don't necessarily create. We are the ones that go online because we want to escape or we want to be entertained. Yeah. This is just a reminder that you get to determine what's worth your time and attention. The new mantra is that the human attention span is reducing. I really don't believe that. I just think people, as a result of overstimulation, or just knowing that there are more options, don't waste time on things that don't immediately stimulate them, or things that don't immediately catch their attention, and they move on because they know they'll find something, or at least they want to consume as or maybe they want to consume as much as possible within a set time. But so if you're not doing the most to immediately grab their attention, they are moving on. It's not that it's shorter, it's just it's prioritizing more. It's prioritizing value, whatever they determine value to be. So in as much psychologically in as much as you psychologically engineer your content to keep people hooked, the hook will only catch the fish is supposed to catch, right? I think at the end of the day, the goal isn't to just disappear, but to be selectively available. Let's start from there. To engage with life as we know it today in this digital space intentionally. And not by virtue of prompts and call to actions that are willing us to take certain actions, but because we want to. The choice is still ours, so let's think about it. And I'd really like to know your thoughts. How do you handle this overload? Because it exists, it's there, it's everywhere right now. Let's talk about it.